Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and today we're going to compare wolves. So first of all we're going to have a look at these Deep Cuts miniatures, Timber Wolves, and these were around £4.50 for two. So as you can see, there's two black stands that these can be based upon. There you go, a bit of a closer look at them. And they're in identical poses. And they're pretty nice. They're a bit soft, but then all a bit soft as in detail, but then all Deep Cuts miniatures are kind of that slightly softer look. But they're pretty impressive. They look pretty good. I'm quite pleased with them. The only slight deformity or something is there's a big mark around the side of the one's head, but I don't think it really matter. You won't notice when I painted it. So next we're going to have a look at the Northstar Wolves. These are for Frostgrave, and you get 4 wolves for £6, so slightly cheaper, and we'll have a look at what I think of them now. So I like this one is sitting down howling, and it's got a bit of flash on it, but that should be quite easily cleaned up just by cutting it off. It cleans up quite well. And maybe where these have got a slight plus over the Deep Cuts miniatures are that there's different poses, so they're not the same pose, they're not identical wolves. But as you can see, again, there's plenty of flashing on them which needs clearing off, but the detail is much more crisp on them because they're made of metal, and generally speaking metal holds the edges a little bit better than the cheaper plastic of the Deep Cuts miniatures. So that's all 4 of them. So I'll get them painted up and I'll come back with them and show you them then. So here they are painted up in a fairly okay paint job. So first of all, the Deep Cut ones, and they look pretty alright. I think they've taken paint well. They were easy to paint. I'm not the best at painting animals, but yeah, it shows up pretty good. So these are the 2 of the same pose from Deep Cuts, and they're nice sculpts. There's a bit of dynamic movement in them, so yeah, they're not bad at all. On to the Northstar Frostgrave ones, and personally I kind of like these more than I do the Deep Cuts miniatures. They seem to be a bit more character about them. Again, they took paint very easily, even with my okay paint jobs. They look pretty good when they're painted up. Quite like them, and they'll definitely work for my games of Frostgrave. This pose of the miniature is probably my least favourite of the poses for the Northstar ones. I don't know, because his back is straight lined with his tail, it makes him look a bit artificial. But no, it's still a nice miniature. And then the stalking one, his tail down. Yeah. I like the 2 that are howling at the moon more than I like the stalking ones, but that's just me. So comparing their size to a Citadel miniature, and they look about the right sort of size. They're Deep Cuts miniatures, you know, they're up to the waist, and I would have thought that's about where a wolf would reach. The Frostgrave ones, Northstar, are slightly smaller and slightly more slender wolves, but I would imagine wolves come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They're not all exactly the same. So comparing them together, as I said, they're similar sizes. The deep cuts miniatures are slightly more beefy looking, while the Northstar miniatures ones are a bit more sort of coyote built. But still, they're fine. They work together. They fit together, and I think they'll go in a pack together. So all in all, I would say both sets of miniatures are good, but I would go for Northstar because of the variation in position and for price. So until next time, I've been Welsh Miniature Board Gamer. Goodbye.